Hello everyone. Till last video we have seen discrete distribution. Now we'll see continuous distribution. You all know what you mean by continuous random variables, is it not? The random variables which lie in between any of the interval is called as the continuous variables. So here, what is continuous distribution? Why we use this continuous distribution? This continuous distribution is used to describe the random phenomena of your random variables in means that can take any value from some interval, because within that interval only you have to get the random variables, is it not? So it can take any value from that interval, that is your continuous distribution. This will be explained by using continuous distribution. Following are the continuous distributions we have to study, that is uniform distribution, exponential distribution, gamma distribution, Erlang distribution, normal distribution, Weibull distribution, triangular distribution, log normal distribution, and beta distribution. These are some of the examples of continuous distributions. Okay, first we'll see what do you mean by your uniform distribution. Already you have seen what is this uniform distribution, is it not? If the random variables are uniformly distributed on some interval, then it can be explained using uniform distribution. Uniformly distributed means, see for example, one random number is generated, then uniformly the next random number has to be generated, like that. A random variable has to be uniformly distributed on the interval, in interval between A and B. Okay, then its probability density function and its continuous distribution function are given by 1 divided by b minus a, where a less than equal to x less than equal to b. Then CDF will be given with 0 if x less than a, or else x minus a by b minus a. Okay, and 1 if it is x less than or greater than or equal to b. Here we have discussed uniform distribution before also. If you have an interval probability of occurring the variable within x1 and x2, then you have to take it as f of x2 minus f of x1. If I take f of x2 minus f of x1, then it can be rewritten as x2 minus x1 divided by b minus a. Instead of taking a over here, because I am taking interval from x1 to x2, so I'll just write x2 minus x1 divided by b minus a. Then mean can be calculated as e of x is equals to a plus b by 2, and variance is b minus a whole square divided by 12. Let me take a simple problem on this. A bus arrives every 20 minutes at a specified stop, beginning at 6:40 am and continuing until 8:40 am. Yes, a certain passenger does not know the schedule but arrives randomly between 7 am and 7:30 am every morning. What is the probability that a passenger waits more than 5 minutes for a bus? See here, daily a bus will arrive from 6:40 am to 8:40 am continuously within 20 minutes gap. A certain passenger does not know the schedule, is it not? For every 20 minutes bus will come. Bus will start from 6:40 and it will end at 8:40. But passenger don't know the timings of the bus. But they will arrive in between 7 am and 7:30 am. So you have to find out the probability that passenger waits more than 5 minutes. Okay, before going for the problem here, first you must see bus starts from 6:40. Every 20 minutes buses will be coming. Every 20 minutes means here it is 6:40, then next bus will come at 7 o'clock, then next bus at 7:20, then at 7:40, then at 8 o'clock, and then at 8:20, and then at 8:40 according to the question. See, bus arrives every 20 minutes. It starts from 6:40 and at 8:40. I have just written all the things. You have to find out the passengers are arriving between 7 and 7:30. So you have to find the probability that passenger wait more than 5 minutes. Is it not? At exactly 7 if they come, they will get bus. But if they come at 7:15, then they have to, means from 7 to 7:15 if they come. 7 o'clock, bus has gone. After bus has gone, the passenger has arrived. Till 7:20 he has to wait, is it not? From 7 to 7:15 he has to wait. In the same way, 7:20 passenger will come, but bus has gone. So what he has to do, from 7:20 to 7:30 he has to wait for 10 minutes again. 7:20 to 7:30, because he is arriving in between this time only. So I am taking 7:30. Otherwise I would have taken 7:40. Okay, but here they have specified they will come in between 7 and 7:30. If they come at 7, okay, fine, they will get the bus. But after 7 to 7:20, they will not get bus for 15 minutes. Is it not? If they come at 7:20, they will get bus. But 7:20 to 7:30, again they won't get bus. So this probability for 5 minutes they wait means more than 5 minutes for a bus. Here they are waiting for 20 minutes. Here they are waiting for 10 minutes. These are the two things, probabilities you have to take. Now let me come for the solution. The passenger has to wait more than 5 minutes only if the arrival time is between 7 a.m. and 7:15 a.m. Is it not? Yes, and between 7:20 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. Okay, what I have just told just now here. Now, here A is equals to 0 and B is equals to 30. Because from 7 o'clock I'll take 0, 7:30 means 30 minutes I'll take, from 0 to 30 minutes. A is equals to 0 in between the interval, between this interval 0 to 30. So A is equals to 0 and B is equals to 30. The desired probability of X is P of 0 less than X less than 50. This is the first probability from 7 to 15. Next probability is plus 7:20 to 30. So 20 less than X less than 30. This one I can write as F of 15 minus F of 0. See here. Here I have just showed you. You can just write it as P of x1 less than x less than x2 as F of x2 minus F of x1. This is probability distribution, but I am writing it as continuous distribution. So here also the same thing. I can just write it as F of 15 minus F of 0 plus F of 30 minus F of 20. If you just solve this using the formula, I'll get 15 by 30 minus 0. F of 0 is 0. By 30 minus 20 by 30, though, so that is given as 5 divided by 6. You have to just apply this formula for this one. X2 minus x1 divided by b minus a. b minus a is always 30. So I am getting 30. This is x2 minus x1 what we have got. Okay, so I'll get answer 5 divided by 6. This is the probability the customers will wait, passengers will wait more than 5 minutes for the bus. Okay, and next I'll go for exponential distribution. Okay, if a random variable x is said to be exponentially distributed with parameter lambda, for exponential distribution always I'll consider the parameter lambda greater than 0. Lambda is a mean over here. If its PDF and CDF are given, so this is the PDF f of x lambda e power minus lambda x. Then f of x, this is the CDF which is given, that is integration of 0 to x lambda e power minus lambda t dt. Okay, yes, here the mean and standard deviation are always equal. If the mean and standard deviation are equal, then the CDF can be rewritten as 0 to x lambda e power minus lambda x dx. This one can be just rewritten as 1 minus e power minus lambda x if mean and standard deviation are equal. If mean is different and standard deviation is different, means we have to use this. If these are equal, then I have to write it as 1 minus e power minus lambda x. So this is the mean which they have given, 1 divided by lambda, and variance is 1 divided by lambda square. Okay, and here this exponential distribution is mainly used to model the completely random inter-arrival times. Okay, here inter-arrival times we have taken, and highly variable service times and lifetime of a component that fails instantaneously. In all these situations, we'll use exponential distribution when, if you want to just calculate the inter-arrival time of the random variables. See, for example, first random number is arrived at 5th minute, then the second random number is arrived at 10th minute. What is the inter-arrival time? It is 5 minutes. That is 5 to 10. How long they are waiting? To completely calculate the inter-arrival time of random number, we use this exponential distribution. Then highly variable service times means how long it is taking to generate the random number. Okay, that is service time. It is always variable. You cannot predict at what time, in what time interval it is producing your random variables. So in order to find out this, we have to use this exponential distribution. And if any of the component will be failing instantaneously, means repeatedly if it is failing, then the lifetime of that particular component has to be, means it is very important to find out the lifetime of that particular component too. In order to do that one also, we'll use this exponential distribution model. Okay, here lambda is interpreted as a rate. Okay, rate at which the component will be failed, rate at which the random number is means rate at which the inter-arrival time of the random number is occurring, like that. And this is having one main property that is called as memory-less property. What do you mean by this memory-less property? Here, the failure value of the exponentially distributed value are not affected by the past values. Okay, if you have some past success values are there, but that does not affect the failure values. If it is success, means you cannot say again it will be failed. Okay, that is called as memory-less property. Failure values of the exponential distribution values are not affected by the past values. Whether it may be past value, may be success or failure. You cannot predict anything about the next random variable with the help of the previous random variables history. Okay, for example, if previous random number is success, the next random number may be success or failure. Okay, that is what your memory-less property. Now let me see one problem on this. See here, suppose that the life of an industrial lamp is thousands of hours, is exponentially distributed with failure rate lambda is equals to 1/3 per hour. Okay, lambda is equals to 1/3. What is the meaning of that? Failure per 3 hours. One failure per 3 hours. Means within 3 hours only one failure may occur. Okay. Then find the probability that the lamp lasts longer than its mean life. Find the probability that the lamp lasts 2 to 3 hours. Find the probability that the lamp lasts another hour given it is operating for 2.5 hours. You have to find the probability that lamp lasts longer than its mean life. Life is calculated, and if it goes above that mean life, then that probability you have to calculate. That is greater than its life. Okay, then find the probability that lamps lost 2 to 3 hours. From within 2 to 3 hours, if lamp lost, what is the probability? Then with 2.5 hours, you have to find the probability for the lamp lost. First, A I'll take. So here, as I have told you, always it should be greater than the mean life. So x should be greater than E of x. Is it not? Yes, is equals to x greater than 3. Why I am taking x greater than 3? You know E of x is equals to 1 divided by lambda. Is it not? But here lambda value is given as 1 divided by 3. So I am taking 1 divided by lambda means 1 divided by lambda is 1 divided by 1 divided by 3. Then I will get it as 3. So E of x value I am getting as 3. So I am taking 3 over here. Okay, this is the standard formula, 1 minus p of x less than equal to 3. Okay, so I have just told you if mean and variance both are equal, then what is the formula you have to take? 1 minus e power minus lambda x. I am just taking the same formula, 1 minus e power minus lambda x. Lambda means it is 1/3, x means it is 3. Okay, yes, so I'll get e power minus 1. So this is the value for p of x greater than 3 for first one. Then I'll go for second one. It lasts from 2 to 3 hours. So here only they have given the range from 2 to 3. 2 to 3. So f of 3 minus f of 2. Again the same thing. 1 minus e power minus lambda x minus 1 minus e power minus lambda x. Here lambda is 1 by 3 and x is 3. Here x is 2 and lambda is 1 by 3. So it is 2 divided by 3. If you calculate the value for e power, then you will get this one. So 0.145 is the probability. For last one, find the probability that the lamp lasts another hour given it is operating from 2.5 hours. For another hour, but it is started its operation from 2.5 hours. From 2.5 hours to another hour means one more hour. That is 2.5 plus 1. That is equal to 3.5. From 2.5 to 3.5 you have to take. See here, p x greater than 3.5 or x greater than 2.5. That is p x greater than 1. For one more hour they have given. So I am taking p of x greater than 1. 1 minus f of 1. Okay, 1 minus f of 1 means again 1 minus e power minus lambda by x you have to take. X value is 1 over here. So e by 3 you will get 0.717 the value will get for this one. This is your problem for exponential distribution. Here lambda is already given. Okay. And the next method is gamma distribution in continuous distribution. Okay. A function which is used to define this gamma distribution is called as the gamma function. Okay, function which is used to define the gamma distribution is called gamma function. Gamma function is given by rho of beta is equals to summation 0 to infinity x power beta minus 1 into e power minus x dx. Beta greater than 0, where this rho of beta is called as the gamma function. This gamma function is represented using rho of beta. Okay, by integrating the above equation by parts, means here integration, if we apply this integration, then I will get it as rho beta is equals to beta minus 1 into rho of beta minus 1. This will be called as the crucial property. Okay, if beta is an integer, then using rho of beta is equals to 1, then this can be rewritten as rho of beta is equals to beta minus 1 factorial. Here you have to just remember why we are using the factorial. Here again rho of beta minus 1 is there. Again and again we have to just use this function. So I am just taking it as factorial. The gamma function means by using this factorial, you can say the gamma function can be thought of as a generalization of the factorial notation of all positive integers. This is the generalization of the factorial function or the notation for all positive numbers. Okay, here we always have a distributions with respect to any of the random variables. Here also a random variable x is gamma distributed with the parameters beta and theta. You know, one is the shape parameter and one more is what? It is the scale parameter. Is it not? Beta and theta, shape and scale parameter. If it's PDF and CDF is given by PDF beta theta divided by rho of beta theta x power beta minus 1 e power minus beta theta x. This is the PDF, and CDF is given by 1 minus integral from x to infinity beta theta rho beta theta into t whole power beta minus 1 e power minus beta theta t dt. This is very, very important. You have to remember all the formulas. Just write down the formulas in one side. Then while going for the exam, you can just have a look at all the formulas and then you can remember. Otherwise, it is a bit difficult. Okay. Just make sure that you remember all these formulas. Next, here I have already told you beta is the shape parameter, theta is the scale parameter. When beta is an integer, gamma distribution is related to the exponential distribution. Till just now we have just discussed about the exponential distribution. If beta is integer or if you take beta is equals to 1, then it is related to exponential distribution. Okay, then it is given as f of xj is equals to beta theta e power minus beta theta x. Okay, Here we are using this exponential function. So beta, I'm just taking it as 1. So here mean is given as e of x is equals to 1 by theta, and variance is given as v of x is equals to 1 divided by beta theta square. Okay. In the next video, we'll see some other techniques of your continuous distribution. Okay. Till then, thank you.